on this episode of Just Informed Talk, as the Democrats continue to panic because President Trump has laid all of his cards on the table with the order to declassify. They are getting desperate. Their plan to impeach President Trump will run into the 2020 election, and it will be a tool they will use to actually meddle in that election. That and many more news stories you guys are going to hear right here on Just Informed Talk. Hope you enjoy. Today, we're picking up right where we left off. Of course, we left off at Q Post 3349 on May 26th. We're still waiting for the next Q Post, but there is so much going on in the news that we can basically look to the current events of today and look back at Q Posts we've gotten over the last couple of years, and we can put together exactly what's going on quite easily and very quickly. But before we get into this, this is a topic I think we have to dive into deeper. Do the Democrats plan on trying to throw a wrench into the 2020 election by trying to impeach Trump in an election year or in the run-up to an election year by going after him with absolutely no evidence whatsoever? That seems to be their plan at this point, and they've been slow playing it for quite a while. We've gotten posts from Q back all the way to 2017. I mean, we're talking all the way back here when Q first started posting to October 31st, 2017, where this was something that we were told a long time ago. It said, get the popcorn. Friday and Saturday will deliver on the MAGA promise. POTUS knows he must clean house government in order to free up and demonstrate who has authority in order to pass important legislation. This was always the priority. Remember, AG Sessions cannot look like an impartial player that is out there to get all former Obama team members, as we need him for other important work. All will come into focus, and for anyone to think POTUS is not in control is kidding themselves. Also, he's 100% insulated with zero risk of impeachment. Fact. So from October 31st, 2017 to today, that seems to have been a fairly true statement. And what we're starting to see, though, quite honestly, is this push where President Trump's in this, as it was stated here. Kevin Shipp went on and gave an interview to usawatchdog.com, and he was saying basically that President Trump is in a historic battle with the treasonous deep state, which I believe is 100% true. Now, what are these treasonous deep state individuals doing? Well, let's put it this way. They've decided that destroying our country is a better alternative to them getting caught and convicted of their crimes. That's as simple as it is. And the fake news media, is complicit. The fake news media is gone. There is no such thing as an unbiased media in this country anymore. There is no objective press. There are only Democrat networks and obviously Republican networks. And I'd argue that there's so much overlap there that it's you can't reasonably expect to get the truth when you turn on the TV, except very, very marginalized places where you look at like Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, those guys, and others like Lori Ingram maybe, who are doing the work, trying to expose what's happening here. The problem is, in my humble opinion, is that these people are so guilty of the crimes that Q has alluded to over the past couple of years that they see it as a zero-sum game. Either they win or they lose. And it's very true to an extent, which is why they're throwing everything they have at the president, as you see in this incredible battle that they are having with one another. Here's a tweet which is showing what Adam Schiff's putting out there. So this is literally what Adam Schiff has done. Adam Schiff's written a letter to the heads of the ODNI, CIA, FBI, NSA, and he's taking, and this is according to this tweet by Jeremy Erb, but he's taking aim at new DOJ review of the Russia probe, asking them to provide his committee with any materials requested by Barr and to tell the panel if they object to any decision Barr makes to declassify info. Now you say to yourself, well, what's wrong with that? He's a congressman who's asking, the intelligence community and the law enforcement community to run stuff by him. Well, what's wrong with it is this. AG Barr, the Attorney General, William Barr, was given the full authority to declassify the information that will prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that not only is President Trump innocent of these accusations which have been levied against him, as in being colluding with the Russians and obstructing justice and all these other ridiculous accusations that are being thrown at him, but furthermore, Attorney General Barr can declassify the information that shows that there was an operation that was being run illegally by the former administration to attack the president. So what are they doing? They're trying to get ahead of it so that basically all these criminals, especially people like Dan Coates, still as the director of national intelligence right now, and others who are involved, former heads of the CIA, FBI, and NSA, or not NSA, I should say, but former heads of the CIA and the FBI. These individuals are still very much active inside of our government, perpetrating this crime against a duly elected president. They're trying to undermine our basically our constitutional republic in this country, and they are doing it for no other reason than the fact that they are trying to protect themselves from their culpability, from their guilt, from what they know the crimes they know they've committed. And it's fascinating to me when you see these people who hate our country. The people who hate our country are the people on the mainstream media, the CNBC, NBC, or NBC, MSNBC, you name it, CNN. They literally they despise our country because our country is not what they think it should be. Meaning, if we don't follow their morals or their for instance, if we don't believe in the fact that abortion is a woman's right, and we look at it as more akin to murder, then we are automatically the enemy of them, because they don't have the ability to understand that their views can be challenged in what you would say is an open democratic society. So we can't challenge them. They lie to you on national TV. They pay former criminal, corrupt traitors who happen to be the former directors of the CIA and the DNI and FBI to come on their shows. They pay them thousands and thousands of dollars per episode to lie to you, the American people, so that they can cover even more for one another, because those were the same quote unquote anonymous sources that they were using for the last 2 years to attack the president and accuse him of a crime he never committed, and then to gin up enough outrage against him to have these hate mobs that roam around social media, basically deplatforming any person who disagrees with them. Our country is really devolving here, and I hate to get into this rant, but the devolution of our country has come in the middle of one of the most important times, I think, in our country. It is, or it has become now, to be politically active, to be aware of what's happening, to look at the facts as they lay and say, yes, there are criminals. Yes, there's satanic pedophiles. Yes, there's illegal corruption going on. Yes, people were traitors to our country. It's not like that's is it a controversial thing to say there are criminals out there who exist? Is it a controversial thing to say that there's mountains of evidence and showing that there are members of our Congress, members of our bureaucracy, former members of our bureaucracy, and members of the media who and big tech, namely, who have been involved in some of the most heinous and disgusting and deplorable crimes you could ever imagine in your entire life? Now, I know this is all being covered up, and I know nobody wants to talk about it, and I know that everyone's against us. Basically, the mainstream media is against us, big tech's against us, the corrupt politicians are against us, the corrupt corporations are against us, and then you have the brainwashed masses who are being indoctrinated by these entities and being ginned up and brought into a rage to come against us. I mean, if you look at what we're up against here, we're in as much of what you would call probably a soft civil war you could ever imagine. And they say that word soft. It means it's really not out in the open yet. But it really is. It's becoming that way, because if these people want to continue to destroy our country to protect their own interest and to protect themselves from their culpability of and guilt in the crimes that they've committed, then the American people are going to eventually stand up to this. But that's what they want. That's the worst part. The worst part is that it seems that we're playing into their paradigm that they've set up for us, where they want us to destroy ourselves. The whole point is to destroy this country. They hate us. They hate what we stand for. They hate our history. They tell us that America was never great. They want you to believe that everything that America has stood for since the inception by the founding fathers has been an imperialist, colonizational, or colonial power that should be destroyed and replaced by the UN or something. And that's the globalist side of it, but they don't even want to admit that. They just want to bash America, tell you it was never great, tell you how much better and morally superior they are to you, us, we the American people, and then use their incredible wealth and power to control the way you think, to control what you see, to control what you do. And I'm sitting here saying, look, this is going to come to a head if people don't start acting in the interest of the country as opposed to themselves. There's just not enough patriots. There are not enough patriots, I think, on the left. And I hate to say that, and you may go, oh yeah, no kidding, duh. But no, I think that's a really big point. We need patriots on the left. This is a plea to people on the left. If you're watching this, please, for the love of God, because God above is who we should all be looking to in these times of turmoil. But please, come to your senses. Think about your patriotic duty. Really analyze what you're doing. You're destroying our country because you're trying to protect criminals who have brainwashed you. And I hate to say that. And then, the argument is, oh, well, you're brainwashed by Trump, da da da. And you're like, well, actually, let's look at the facts. Did President Trump collude with Russia? Absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Did Hillary Clinton collude with Russia? Mountains of evidence that show it, with Uranium One and the Clinton Foundation. Did Donald Trump Jr. collude with Russia? Absolutely no evidence besides a meeting with a woman who was working for the opposition firm that was setting up the president with fake information and working presumably for the CIA and other intelligence agencies. But no evidence there. They haven't had anything to prove that. Did Joe Biden collude with China and Ukraine? Well, let's see. Joe Biden's son flew on Air Force Two with Joe Biden right after he said that he would release the territorial claim to the fake islands being made in the South China Sea and allow them to get their 9-dash line in place so that they could claim most of the South China Sea as their own. And just so happens right after that, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, gets a $1.5 billion deal from the Bank of China. People's Bank of China. So, yeah, there's that. That's proof. And also in Ukraine, millions and millions of dollars after the vice president basically extorts you can't make this up, basically extorts the prime minister, threatening to withhold U.S. funding, not his money, the American people's money, we the American people's money, in funding to Poroshenko unless he fires the attorney general who was looking into his son's alleged criminal activities with the Ukrainian oligarchs. So if you want to talk about like where the truth is and all this stuff, and then people don't even want to dive into what happened with what we've learned about the Standard Hotel, what we've learned through the revelations brought forward from the sex cult Nexium, to even imagine that on Epstein Island, not only were they abusing young women, but they have a second layer beneath this temple complex where Q is alleged that there is unspeakable atrocities going on. We're talking about human sacrifices. We're talking about stuff that's been going on for centuries, if not longer, if not thousands of years. And these are the same power elites who've been doing it from the beginning. All you have to do is go back to ancient, Mayan culture, where they would have blood sacrifices. They'd throw people into pits and rip their hearts out. Or they would have, these occult medieval ceremonies that they would do. Or they would have these occult rituals that pagans would indulge in. Or just go over to Bohemian Grove. They worship a 40-foot owl, for crying out loud. Okay? This is all in the public. It's very easy for you guys to go see it. And, these criminals, as I've said before, are the ones trying to cover all this up. And you know what they say to you when you ask these questions, when you dive deep into it? They go, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're just a deranged conspiracy theorist who's, we don't look at that. The media won't even cover this stuff. You'd think if we had an actually objective press, they would go try to investigate some of these things and try to uncover the crimes. It's not like since President Trump took office, when he signed his executive order, which was basically going after human trafficking offenders and saying that we'd seize their assets, that since then we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, if not thousands, of arrests of human traffickers where we've actually been stopping these human trafficking rings. Look at the Long Beach port in California. Look at its connections to Mexico and how the human trafficking funnels in through that port. Where are the investigative journalists going to investigate this stuff? They don't exist because they're terrified to do their jobs, because they are complicit in the criminality of the individuals they are covering. This is where we've come, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm sorry. I had to do that. That rant it needed to be said because these people are coming after us with everything they have. And it seems like nobody's willing to stand up and talk about the stuff that we should be talking about in the run up to the election. Because here we go. Here's Nancy Pelosi who goes on Jimmy Kimmel and says, we'll be ready to impeach Donald Trump before 2020. Okay, that's great. Why are they going to do that right before 2020, especially after 2 years of a Mueller investigation where no evidence was found? Robert Mueller lied to you and said that he could not indict a sitting president. That was a guideline from the DOJ, which they clarified after. If Robert Mueller had chosen to indict, he could have, legally. Under the law, he could have, but there was no evidence. So what did he do? He kicked the can to Attorney General Barr and forced AG Barr to make the declaration that President Trump was not guilty, and it basically exonerate him and say, we're not going to pursue charges against him, thereby making Attorney General Barr look like the bad guy, look like some Trump crony who's just trying to protect his own interests, when in reality, he's just doing what the objective the objective of law is, which is to, if there's evidence of someone's guilt, then you prosecute and indict. If there isn't, then they are innocent. You don't go to a courtroom and sit down and have them say, well, we're going to go ahead and assume you're guilty and we need you to prove your innocence to us. That's what Robert Mueller is saying. He's saying, well, if there was any evidence that President Trump was not guilty, we would have gladly exonerated him. Who runs an investigation that's predicated on the fact that you're guilty and you need to prove your innocence? No, you are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But the Democrats have inverted our justice system to basically protect themselves and their corrupt ring of criminality that they've been running since decades ago, since all the way back to the first Bush era. So this is what we're up against. And then they have this story coming out where it talks about Attorney General Barr disclosing that U.S. Attorney Huber never even started his investigation and that John Durham took over his work. Well, if you actually read through what this story talks about in the actual quotes, what Attorney General Barr was saying was that at first, Huber was told to look into everything, basically, and then he got the scope of his investigation limited down to just the Hillary investigation. So what Attorney General Barr was saying in this interview was that John Durham was tasked with investigating the FISA abuse and investigating the investigators when it comes to all of that. And Huber is still working on, and hopefully we'll have evidence to show to us soon on what they've been investigating with regard to how the Hillary Clinton investigation was handled by the FBI, or actually mishandled, I should say, by the FBI. That's what we're waiting on there. Here's another one. Rudy Giuliani, it just goes off on Joe Biden on Hannity. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and I want to play you the clip, but I pretty much went over everything that they said in the clip, but it's really, you should watch it for yourself. It's fascinating, where he basically says that Joe Biden's son, who did get kicked out of the military for using cocaine, right? This is the same kid that did that, then goes over to China and gets $1.5 billion from the Bank of China after Joe Biden does everything he does. He flew on Air Force Two with Joe Biden and then gets a $1.5 million deal from the Bank of China. And it's like, and then that's why Joe Biden gets up in front of an audience and goes, no, there's no problem with China. You guys are crazy if you think China's our competitor. Well, yeah, because they bought you off. They paid your son $1 billion more. Okay, great. Now President Trump's finally standing up and doing something I am very proud of. I'm not finally standing up. He's always standing up for things that I am proud of. But this one especially, So we do have a crisis on the border. And what President Trump has done is he's announced a 5% tariff that will grow incrementally if Mexico doesn't start policing their side of the border and keeping illegals from basically flooding our country in what I would characterize as an invasion, which we are eventually going to have to use the Insurrection Act to remove these individuals. It's just the way it is. You can't flood our border, come here illegally, and expect to be given amnesty just because you crossed a border. No right to citizenship. These people are gonna bankrupt our country. They're already committing crimes, and it's just like, it's baffling to watch this kind of nonsense that keeps going on. And yeah, of course, President Trump laying into them even harder. And this was a story I just thought was interesting. I mean, remember back in just a couple months ago, the woman who was supposedly handpicked by Hillary Clinton to work at the State Department, well, she's been pleads guilty to conspiring with foreign agents and admits to receiving tens of thousands of dollars in benefits from 2 Chinese agents in exchange for internal State Department documents, i.e. classified, top secret information. Hillary Clinton's handpicked person to work at the State Department has just pled guilty for literally giving top secret information to the Chinese. But don't trust your lying eyes. Don't believe what you read here. It's only coming straight from the U.S. Department of Justice, justice.gov. Yeah, don't believe it, though. The media won't report on this stuff. You know what they'll do? They'll go to Facebook and say, we need to shut down more people's freedom of speech, and we need to violate their privacy. That's what they do. Social media is a part of the problem. They're actually one of the biggest parts of this problem, in my opinion. And I really think that we need to start looking at it more seriously and examining what we can do to limit their Orwellian and draconian decisions and policies that are going to affect the 2020 election. Mark my words. If we do not win this election, it won't be because of anything other than the fact that nobody took the time to address the overwhelming power and reach that social media and big tech companies have in this country, and their ability to sway elections by manipulating the algorithms and manipulating their platforms to discriminate against a certain political party, i.e. conservatives. Trust me on that. I would hate to have to say that I was right about that, but if nobody looks into this or starts putting an end to this, I mean, we're gonna have big problems, okay? And that's just the way it is. But yeah, there you go. That was my my 2 cents on it, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it helps you guys figure out what's going on here. And I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm trying to get you to dig deeper. Go look into all the stuff that we've talked about today. And if I'm wrong, please go down in the comments and tell me I'm wrong. But if I'm right, then maybe it's going to change the way you think about the way the world is working around you, and how all of these systems are coming together against we, the American people, to destroy this country. Because the idea is to destroy this country and replace it with, I don't know, the UN, or a satanically run government. We'll have literally Satan up there, and we'll all have the mark of the beast on us. It'll be great, right? Won't that just be a fun time for us all? And I say that with complete and utter sarcasm. So just look into this stuff, guys. That's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you for watching. Obviously, come here, click the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Hit the like button if you guys like this content. We want to see more. Watch these videos. Share them on your social media. Get the word out that way. And don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, because I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. So please leave your comments below. But with that being said, a few other ways you can help out the channel, obviously. Come over here and find me on justinformednews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk. That's a great place to go to get links to the Q stuff, links to different news websites, links to different news reports that are breaking, and, of course, the videos straight from the channel here. You guys can check that out. It's a good tool for you. And come find me over here on Twitter at JustInformU. Again, that's at JustInform, the letter U. On Twitter, you guys come find me over here, and we can have a conversation. Don't forget, there's a couple other ways you can help out the channel financially. Patreon, patreon.com/justinformedtalk. Without your support, guys, this channel would have never lasted this long. It's a crowdfunding website. You come here, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. Know you're creating content here on this channel regularly, and that makes the biggest difference. So thank you guys for all your support. Also, don't forget to come over here and support me on GoFundMe if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. This is why I put this here. It's or GoFundMe.com/just-informed. Link will be in the description of that as well. Before we go, there's a thing we do at the end of each one of these episodes. It's a segment we call God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. For today's segment, I want to share this piece of scripture with you, and then we'll talk about it. And this is Psalm 15, 1 through 4, and it talks about a description of the godly. And as you know, I preface this by saying, I know I'm not perfect, and I know I'm not like, I don't know. I know I'm not like the most perfect person in the world, but I put everything to God. I put my whole life to God. And yes, I do get upset, and I try my best not to, but I like to think of it a lot of the time as just righteous indignation at the evil that has taken over this world. And it's baffling to me how there's so many just ungodly people who exist in our society who rely on, you know, what's of this world, and they rely on the people of this world, the imperfect, fallible people they look to as their guideposts, and they look to as their you know, whatever, their guru, whatever you want to call it. But the fact is, who I look to as a guidepost, who I look to as my Lord and Savior, is God above, and Jesus Christ, his Son, and the Holy Spirit. Those are that's what guides me in my life. And after that, all I can speak to is you know, the fact that that's what guides me, and I hope it's what guides you. And that's why I share these words, because I want you to remember how to live by God. This is a description of the godly. As I said, Psalm 15, 1 through 4. It says, Lord, who can dwell in your tent? Who can live on your holy mountain? The one who lives honestly, practices righteousness, and acknowledges the truth in his heart, who does not slander with his tongue, who does not harm his friends or discredit his neighbor, who despises the one rejected by the Lord, but honors those who fear the Lord, who keep his word, whatever the cost. And look, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I know I'm not perfect. I know I get upset. I'm human. I'm a human being who is just like you. I'm literally just like you all out there. I'm looking at what's happening, and I'm saying this is wrong. This cannot be allowed to happen. And I'm watching it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. I think we're all in the same boat. A lot of you here who are watching now. And when I get upset, when I get frustrated, when I get, like, you know, just completely flabbergasted, I guess would be a good way to put it, with all this stuff, there's something I always say with my family or whoever, my friends. I'll be like, I'm so angry, or I'm so upset, or this is so wrong. But I say, I put my faith in God, and I have nothing else if not for God. Therefore, everything I have is to God. And with that, I feel solace. I feel peace. I understand that whatever God's will be done. So whatever God wills, I should say, will be done. So I put my life to God. I hope God uses me as a tool for change. I hope God comes into your hearts and uses you as a tool for change. I hope that you use your gifts that God gives you to help awaken others to God's greatness. And I hope that we can make a difference in this world, because we only get one life, and our lives should be for God, to God, in everything that we do, and then family and country, in that order. So I hope you guys take this message, and I hope you spread it out in the world. But I want to say thank you for watching another episode of Just Informed Talk. Remember, you can come here and click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and there's a little thumbs up button. It's called the like button. Go hit it, punch it, smash it, whatever you got to do. Hit that. It lets me know you like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.